Copying competitors feels practical. It looks efficient. Someone else already tested the idea, convinced the market, proved it works. So why not borrow what's visible and move faster? The problem is that copying is not learning. It replaces thinking with imitation. In any organization, copying what you see on the surface often breaks what matters underneath. Today, we'll look at why copying competitors backfires, what Deming meant when he warned against it, and how leaders can replace imitation with real learning. When markets get noisy or margins tighten, leaders naturally look sideways. What are they offering? How are they pricing? What tools are they using? The comparison feels responsible, even strategic. W. Edwards Deming saw this impulse clearly, and he was blunt about its danger. He didn't argue that leaders should ignore the outside world. He argued that examples without theory teach nothing. When you copy a result without understanding the system that produced it, you're gambling, not improving. This temptation shows up everywhere. Results are hard to observe directly, and success is often shaped by hidden conditions, so leaders grab on to what's easiest to see: offers, promises, pricing, tools, and buzzwords. The story we're about to hear is familiar, not because it's dramatic, but because it's ordinary, and that's exactly the risk. Alex ran a mid-sized professional services firm. Smart people, loyal clients, steady growth. But over the last year, sales slowed, deals dragged, clients hesitated. Then a competitor started winning work with a clean, packaged offering: clear scope, fixed price, confident messaging.
Everyone keeps bringing them up. Clients say they make it simpler. We're losing deals we used to win.
In the next leadership meeting, the pressure was obvious.
They're just repackaging what everyone else does. We could roll this out in a month.
If clients want simple, let's give them simple. Same structure, same price points. We can't afford to look complicated.
They moved fast. New packages, new website copy, new proposal templates. From the outside, the firm looked competitive again. Inside the firm, things unraveled.
Delivery's struggling. The teams keep escalating scope questions. The package assumes things we don't actually control.
But that's how they sell it.
Yes, but we don't know how they deliver it.
Deming warned about this exact trap, copying the visible example while ignoring the invisible system. The firm had copied the promise, not the capability. The packaging assumed standardized work, predictable inputs, and stable handoffs, none of which they had invested in. Projects started running over. Staff felt squeezed between rigid promises and a messy reality. Clients noticed the gap between what was sold and what actually showed up.
We fixed the sales problem and created a delivery problem.
That moment mattered. Instead of doubling down, tightening enforcement, blaming teams, or discounting harder, Alex paused.
What if the problem isn't the package? What if the problem is that we copied without understanding?
They stepped back and asked a different question. What theory are we operating under? What do we believe actually creates value for our clients? And what system do we need to deliver that reliably? They studied their own work, where projects slowed, where rework came from, which clients benefited most and why. They ran small tests, adjusting scope boundaries, clarifying client responsibilities, simplifying internal handoffs, before changing what they promised externally.
The competitor's package wasn't wrong, it just wasn't ours.
Over time, the firm rebuilt its offering around outcomes it could actually deliver, not features it had borrowed. Sales stabilized, not because they looked like everyone else, but because their promises finally matched their system. This story isn't about resisting change or ignoring competitors. It's about replacing imitation with learning. First, write down your aim. Who do you exist to serve? What problem are you trying to solve? And what does better look like over time? Without an aim, competitor behavior becomes your strategy by default. Second, treat competitor ideas as hypotheses, not instructions. Instead of copying what they did, ask, why might this work in their system? What conditions would need to be true for it to work in ours? Then test on a small scale. Third, study your delivery system before changing your promises. Offers, pricing, and positioning are system decisions. If you change the front end without strengthening the back end, you create stress, not improvement. Finally, remember Deming's discipline of theory. Deming said, "Experience teaches nothing. In fact, there is no experience to record without theory. Without theory, there is no learning, and that is their downfall. People copy examples, and then they wonder what is the trouble." Learning requires a prediction, a test, and reflection, not imitation. One practical test is this. Before approving a competitor-inspired change, ask what must improve inside the organization for the promise to be kept. If you can't name the capability you're building or the constraint you're removing, you're not improving the system. You're just decorating it. Copying competitors feels safe because it spreads the risk. If everyone's doing it, it can't be wrong, right? But Deming challenged that comfort. He asked, what would some people do without their competitors? When decisions begin with what others are doing instead of what you're trying to build, improvement slowly gives way to imitation. The hopeful truth is this. You don't need to outcopy anyone. You don't need to chase every move in the market. You can choose to learn instead. With a clear purpose, a willingness to test ideas, and the patience to improve your system, you can build something stronger than resemblance. Real competitive advantage comes from understanding your own work well enough to improve it deliberately. When leaders invest in learning how their system actually produces results, improvement becomes steady, confidence grows, and capability compounds over time. The focus shifts from keeping up with competitors to building a system that delivers reliably, creating long-term advantage that lasts.